Detroit Lions fans, welcome in. Detroit Den 313, Friday night. Feeling all right? Will, how was your Friday? Ready for the weekend? I know you're probably not going to have a great weekend because I know you're working, but other than that, you having a good weekend?
Oh, it's gonna be a good weekend, man. At work, I'm gonna be making some monies, man, and surfing the web for some Detroit Lions content. I mean, that sounds like a good weekend for me.
I'm taking the weekend off. I'm not going into the real job. I just want to focus on some Detroit Lions talk. But William, we've been hammering prospects, and we've been praising all their glory and giving a lot of people some props and a lot of different games we like. We're going to switch it up today. We're going to do some players we don't like, some players we want the Detroit Lions to avoid. Probably going to be, I think there is going to be some backlash on your end, maybe a little bit on my end from my guy, but I know that yours is going to stir up the pot. So we're going to save yours from last. We're going to save yours from last because we can't just give the best sauce right in the beginning. You got to stick around for the whole show and see what's going on. So, Will, you got a question?
Before we start, I have a confession to make. If this is a safe space, before we start,
with me, it's safe. I don't know how the world will perceive it, but with me, it's safe.
So, before we get going, funny little story. I'm the type of guy. We're just outside of the Detroit area, but I'm the type of guy like I like to poke around in the city, Steve. I like to poke around in the city, get some good foods. Listen, I don't got this little extra by not getting the good foods, right? So in intermingling with some folks, man, if I'm being all the way honest, the Detroit Lions are no longer the only team that I love as far as football goes. And before it came out on social media or something, just wanted to go ahead and let it out for somebody's getting on my Instagram or Twitter, TikTok or whatever, and finding some stuff out about me on their own. Steve, I'm not shouting out the restaurant because I did talk to the manager and I was like, listen, maybe we can find a way to mutually scratch each other back. She's like, let's see how you guys do moving forward. I got to check it too. So I'm not shouting out your restaurant. Yeah, business, recognize business. But I will shout out my waitress. Her name was Miss Anna, Steve, and she was a very nice lady. I went out and I had my Detroit Lions gear on as often I do when I'm poking around the city. And Steve, do you know what she said to me?
She thought you were a Chicago Bears fan for as much as you've been to Chicago the past 6 months?
Negative. Nobody would ever say that. Blasphemy. But she said, hey, she said, hey, Papa, you like the Lions? And I said, huh? She said, the Lions. And I said, and she said, football. And I said, oh, yeah. And then she said, I like the football where they kick, but now
it's not football, it's soccer.
Yeah. Well, she said, now I like the football Americano. So she said, now I a fan of the Lions. So now, Steve, I'm not just a fan of the Lions anymore. I'm a fan of the Detroit Lions, the Lions. So, Steve, let's talk about the Lions.
I bet you can't name 5 players off this fictional football team, Will, but it is an interesting story. I am surprised that you weren't wearing Chicago Bears stuff because I just thought that was your new repertoire. You knew digs. I thought
I haven't even been back.
It's only been a month. It hasn't been that long. But Will, let's dive in. I'll tell you this. Usually I'm joking and I'm cracking jokes and trying to make this podcast funny, but I don't think I could do that today because it will be perceived the wrong way with the player I'm going to be talking about. So whatever I say today, from here on out, I've already got my jokes out on Will, him being a Chicago Bears fan. I'm straightforward with you guys today. I have zero interest in the Detroit Lions drafting or even hosting or being any type of way interested in Desmond Watson from the University of Florida, Will. If you're not familiar with who Desmond Watson is, there was an article about him a couple weeks ago that he will, when he's drafted or picked up, whatever his future may hold, if he's drafted, someone will pick him up as an undrafted free agent if he doesn't get drafted, but I believe he will. He will officially become the largest NFL football player in history. 6'5", 464 pounds. And as we're talking about him, I will work on getting an image if you guys aren't familiar with him. But Will, I know you know who Mr. Desmond Watson is. How do you feel about him while I do a little scavenging here?
Listen, Mr. Watson, I don't understand why you don't like him. Obviously, it would be contingent on where we were grabbing him at. But if we grabbed him, I don't know, in the 9th round, and he's just going to be a plug, just push. What are you talking about? If I put DJ Reader and Desmond Watson next to each other, forget about a tush push. Like a tush push is no longer a thing. You're not gaining any yards. But the only thing that will worry me about him is you're not going to be able to do anything but that. Listen, you could drive a semi truck into that, and it's not going anywhere. And he's actually pretty crazy athletic for being 400 and some odd pounds, man. I think he squats like 700 and something pounds and bench something pounds, and the dude is he's pretty athletic, man. So if you're telling me, I don't know, in like the 5th or the 6th round, I would be like, okay, I see what you're doing here. Maybe we're getting ready for a time to where everything is on the line. We're trying to get to a Super Bowl, and we got to stop Jalen Hurts from doing a tush push. Maybe we send old Desmond Watson out there to plug this thing up. Steve, you wouldn't be interested in doing something like that?
After I had just said that I wasn't going to crack any jokes and I wasn't going to be mean, Will, that was your rebuttal. So I'm going to stick to my guns, Will. I'm not going to bite on the bait you're giving. You're trying to get me to crack a joke and body shame someone, and I'm just not going to do it.
No, I'm not.
But I think there is a huge difference between strong and athletic, because yes, if I'm just grading him on strength, yes, he bench pressed 36 reps of 225 at his pro day. He squats like, I believe it's somewhere in the very, very close neighborhood of 1,000 pounds. He's strong. He's very, very strong. I don't see athleticism. I don't see. Go ahead.
Hold on. Desmond actually just came in. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you sharing. Back to what you're doing. Okay.
Back to back to what I was saying is yeah, there is a difference between strong and there's a difference between athletic and all right, I'm just gonna say it. There's no way Desmond Watson's in your house because there's no way he could fit through the front door. Will there's just absolutely
you ain't right.
There's just absolutely no way. Look,
you ain't doing my dog like this.
look. And now I'm back to being serious. I just don't see anyone who's in a good place with where they're at right now. And I'm trying my hardest to be very delicate here, but when it comes to Desmond Watson, when he was recruited to the University of Florida, he was 280 pounds as an 18-year-old. I feel like, okay, 18, like I could probably work with that. So when he goes to college, he has gained 64 pounds 84 pounds almost in 4 years. That's 20 pounds a year. Now, I know you're very familiar with, and you have a lot of experience in the weight world, the weightlifting world. I guess is what I'm trying to say, and bodybuilding and health and wellness. Well, there's no way you're gaining 21 good pounds per year without some steroids. Yeah, without some assistance of a substance. The weight he's put on is not good weight. It's not healthy weight. I'm just not interested with him at the Detroit Lions. And I know a lot of people are enamored at how big, and I can't use the word athletic. I don't see phenomenal athleticism despite his size. And I know that there's some people out there that are just blown away that he ran a 5'9" 40. Like I'm not impressed with a 5'9" 40, regardless of how big you are. Like I'm pretty sure my 88-year-old grandmother could go out and run a 5'9" 40, and she's not 464 pounds. So, I mean, I'm just not impressed with anything I see film wise. If he wanted to become a professional power lifter, I think he'd really have a bright ass future. But when it comes to football, I don't see it. Well, I see him being a worse version of a Broderick Martin. So it's a hard pass, and has never been on my draft board, will never be on my draft board. And the tush push is getting banned. So I'm really not worried about that aspect of it either.
Listen, I hope that it doesn't get banned. I stand with Brad and Coach Campbell said, listen, they found something. Let's just find a way to stop it. I will say, I don't really care if we draft Desmond Watson or not, long as it's like in the 5th round and beyond. is not somebody that I'm pushing for, but I don't have a problem with it. When I see him, I do see somebody who is a freak athlete for being dang near 500 pounds. The dude is pretty agile. I mean, this dude's rolling around on the ground, like making swim moves and juke moves. The dude has a carry for the University of Florida. I do see an athlete for the size. I do think that he could be a plug. The only issue that I would have with it is him holding a roster spot just to be a plug situationally. That might worry me a little bit. But if he was a guy that we could play the 53-man game with, like say we're going against the Eagles or somebody with a heavy run presence, and we activated him those weeks, but in the other weeks where we were going against teams that wanted to spread you out, then maybe he wasn't activated that week. Maybe we could do something like that. I definitely wouldn't have a problem if he came in as an undrafted free agent. But like I said, 5th round and beyond, depending on who's on the board, depending on what we got already, I would be interested just to see what he can become. And I think a lot of it falls into situations, man. This guy, just like you said, he was 380 pounds. Next thing you know, the dude puts on dang near 100 pounds, almost 80 pounds or whatever it was.
84.
It's not good weight. It's not good weight. It is a worry. Obviously, we got some metabolism issues and some stuff going on with him. He's one of those guys that would have to be very careful about what he's doing and train properly. But where do you want to be? Even when, as you had alluded to in the fitness world, what do I want to do with people who had a hard time understanding how to control their cravings and their fitness and, you know, getting a routine under them? I want to surround them with like-minded people. Get him in the facility with guys who have transformed their body like Aleem McNeil. And even say what you want to say about Broderick Martin's play on the field. That dude had a heck of a transformation himself as far as getting in shape and preparing his body. So Aiden Hutchinson, a true professional. Jack Campbell, true professional. The list goes on. We have a lot of guys who take preparing their body very seriously in Detroit. And I think that could ultimately be something that could save him and turn him into a gym. Will he ever be a guy that we'll be looking at as a pass rusher or anything like that? No. But could he be somebody who could be an absolute plug for us? Maybe. So that's kind of where I sit on him, man. Wouldn't be looking to spend any type of real draft equity on him. Really, I'd be thinking, and 5 is like, that's
you're being
really
too nice.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like five is really like, man, because there's worlds where there's some interior linemen still on the board that we've been talking about getting. So really it'd be 6, 7, or, you know, as a undrafted free agent, man. So, but there's a world where I could see him having a place in the NFL if he can control his weight and just stay healthy enough to be able to get out there and perform.
I think he will get drafted. As a matter of fact, I'd be willing to bet he will. I think he'd be a perfect fit for a team that runs a 3-4, and he can just go in there and play nose tackle. I just don't want him on the Lions. Well, if the number 5 and that's the 5th round, you want to talk about him in, I wouldn't be interested. And he wouldn't be my 5th phone call as an undrafted free agent. He's just not even on my radar. I think he's as strong as an ox, but I have way more questions about the longevity of his career with where he is. I just don't know. I think it'd just be a gamble. And in round 5, you know, I'm okay with some projects if I have my way in my draft, and the first 4 picks are really good and impact players. But it just what kind of cookie is that, by the way? I forgot to ask. You know, I have a sweet tooth. Is that an oatmeal cream pie? Oh man, haven't had one of those in years. I will say this: the ice cream shop in front of my house just opened, and I'm kind of eyeing that. But, you know, I think Desmond Watson's already ordered it all out, so I don't think they have any left. So
you ain't right. I don't know. Right.
I don't know. Just a hard no for me. Listen, he's going to get drafted. He'll be in the NFL. Do I see him with where he's at right now today, lasting 10 years in the NFL? No, I don't think he's designed to keep his body in great shape like it needs to be for the NFL. And I can't be calling the pot. I can't be calling the kettle black, Will, because, you know, I'm not in the best shape ever in my life, but it's a job. I'm trying to be delicate. I think he's got a somewhat of a future in the NFL. go to the league, make a little bit of money, take care of your family, set yourself up for some success in the future. But I don't know, Will. I think it's a shame on the University of Florida for what they did to him. They told him to just go out there and get as big as you possibly can and not do it the right way. Because honestly, when you're 380 pounds coming in as a freshman, this is just me. If I were a scout or a coach, I'd be saying, hey, man, I want to get you down to like a really, really solid, like 350, 355, somewhere in that range, and absolutely try to make you as explosive as I can. Not, hey, go gain 21 pounds per year. I just don't think that was the course anyone should be set on. I feel like the University of Florida really failed him in that regards, William. Shame on them.
I don't know if that was the case as far as what they did. They could have been trying to put him on a restricted program. Maybe he just wasn't.
Well, he wasn't listening.
You know what I mean? And he was still out there producing. So they're like, hey, do your thing, man. You know, at the end of the day, these colleges, man, it's different than the NFL. You only got so much. Guys aren't getting a check, you know, and I know they're getting NIL deals, but it's not the same of like, hey, I'm feeding my family this way, and if I don't comply, you're just going to cut me, and I'm going to be on my way. It's just a little bit different in college. We'll see. We'll see what the dude does, man. I'm interested to see. It's going to be interesting to watch whether he's a Detroit Lion or not. I'll be having my eye out for him.
Who's the guy you got your eye on? Well, this is where I think it gets juicy, because I think a lot of people are going to be familiar with this name. If you see the thumbnail, you probably know who we're talking about. But I don't know, Will. You're going to have to do some selling for Steve Perkins to buy into this. But I know what you're going to be leaning heavy on, so I'll let you take the mic and take over and introduce us to the guy you want the Detroit Lions to completely avoid.
You may know what I'm going to lean on. You may not. But before I jump into my guy that I think that the Lions should steer clear of, I got to talk about my boy, none other than Rodrigo. My boy Rodrigo's putting in work, Steve. He's putting in work. He's working his way back. He's working his way back. He's working his way back on the field, Steve. I'm happy to see it. All of these guys, man. Hutch, Aleem, Makai Wingo, Derek Barnes. All of these guys. Well, yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But all of these guys, man, rehabbing. Things seem like they're going well. They did say, which is, I don't want to say crushing, but I don't like it. Did say Mac is going to be a little bit. McNeil is probably it's going to be some time for him, but still trending in the right direction. So all of these guys healthy, man. The thought of it excites me. That's one. And then the last thing I'll say before I go into my guy is this: how you feel about this, Steve? How you feeling about this number swap?
Ooh, listen, I'm not a big numbers guy. I don't care. I don't think numbers make a difference. Like, it's what they prefer. I am very, very excited to see J-Mo at number 1. I'm surprised it's taken him this long to switch over, because I know that's what he wore in college. Seeing Gibbs at number 0 is going to be crazy. Yeah. Also, they have to pay for every single jersey that's ever been made. So with that old number on it. So that's a nice chunk of change that a lot of these guys are missing. And we're probably going to have to do some more giveaways to give away some of the newer ones. But putting that up again, at Ennis switching from 15 to 9, taking J-Mo's own number. I don't know. It's interesting to see. We're going to have to start getting used to it, because there's some actual names. Usually the jersey swaps don't have like huge names on them, but we're looking at, most of our Pro Bowlers are out here switching numbers. So it's going to take us some getting used to, but I'm excited to see J-Mo in the number 1.
Terry, I'm going to that high school number, that high school 6. And then I don't know, man. I think Gibbs is going to be insane in 0. Like, I think it's sexy. I'm
Agent Zero, new nickname, Agent Zero.
Man, I'm super excited for it, man. I can't wait to see him running around in 0. Instantly, I gotta say, probably the best player ever to wear 0 in the NFL.
Gilbert Arenas.
Best one in the NFL ever, man.
Yeah, I can't even name another person who wore number 0 in the NFL.
I mean, I know Brian Burns went to it. There's a few of them, but we won't go there. Back to my guy, man. So I know that's what people really want to hear. They don't want to hear me hooping about freaking numbers, but my guy, man, I'm ready to fight tooth and nail. I know you guys are gonna come for me in the comments. Let's talk about it. None other than Mike Green. Mike Green for me. Listen, he had the viral moment, man, where he took a guy for a ride at the Senior Bowl. if you know, and you've been with Detroit Den 313, at least even this whole season, you know that Mike Green was a guy that I enjoyed, and Steve as well, before the Senior Bowl. We were already talking about him. So the viral moment wasn't what put him on the map
It pissed
for
me
us.
off,
But
if anything, because it did put him on the map a little bit more.
yeah, so but after months and months and months of watching film, breaking down guys, hearing news, I know the first thing is going to be the allegations. And I'm not even going to say exactly what the allegations are, because I don't believe in throwing dirt on anybody's name that hasn't been proven guilty of something. So I'll just say, if you feel moved to go look it up, he's had a couple situations where there's been some pretty serious allegations that have been made against him. Some people have said that his name has been cleared. Others are saying that it's still ongoing. To be honest, I'm not a litigator. It didn't happen in my area, and I haven't dug into it enough to know what was true and what's not true. But I'll just say this: it's a concern. And when it's more than one, it makes it a little bit more concerning. If it was just one time that there was a concern brought up and then it was gone, then it'd be like, okay, maybe. When there's two, there is maybe if you didn't do the full deed, so to speak, but it makes me wonder if there was just something there that caused for there to be a concern. So that would be a worry for me immediately for the Detroit Lions. But that's just a piece of why I want to stay away from them. And I always believe in totality, man. I always believe in the big picture, the full circle. When I look at Mike Green, I look at this. I'm looking at a guy who's 6'3", 250 pounds. That's just not typically what we do as far as opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. It's not the type of body that we look for. One. Two, I think he's an odd front guy. I think he's an outside linebacker and an odd front. He's a guy that's going to be rushing off of the edge, and for the most part, he's going to be an edge guy. Maybe dropping back here and there in some zone type stuff, but it's going to be very minimal. He's going to be an odd front guy. Also, when you get into the measurables, 32-inch arms. I don't know, with 250 pounds, 32-inch arms, dealing with these big bodies in the NFL, I don't know if he would be the guy opposite of Aiden, down in and down out. I just couldn't see it. I don't see the versatility. The Detroit Lions are typically looking for guys that are super versatile. When I look at some of the other guys in this draft, a little bit bigger, or if they're not bigger, they're guys like James Pierce, who the athleticism makes up for the lack of size, so to speak. He doesn't strike me as somebody who's just crazy, freaky, athletic like the Pierces or the Josiah Stewarts, or, you know what I mean, those type of guys. So I don't see that freaky, twitchy, even Shamar Stewart. I don't see that type of twitched up on the film. I see a dude who's powerful. And he's not big enough to me to just go to the NFL and beat guys with bull rush and power. He's not like a Davenport. Like sometimes when or even Levi Onwuzurike, man, sometimes those two, I just watch them and they bull rush and they just say, hey, listen, I'm more man than you. I'm bull rushing. It is what it is. You lose, So I don't see with his game, depending on so much power, I don't see him being able to do that in the NFL. To me, the NFL comped him with Alex Highsmith. I don't see it. To me, Alex Highsmith is way more versatile and way more athletic.
Is that the kid from the Steelers?
Yeah. So yeah, the dude that's opposite of TJ Watt, just causing havoc. I don't see that type of athleticism from him. But I do see him as a odd front guy. I could see him with like the Ravens, the Buccaneers, the Steelers. I could see him being on a team like that. But I just don't think he's a fit for the Detroit Lions. Not saying that he's a bad player by any means. Just all of the things, the traits, the measurables, the character issue or potential issues. Like, I just don't see it as a fit for the Detroit Lions. Those are the reasons why, again, not knocking this dude, don't know whether the stuff is true. Just, I think there's better ways that we could go in the draft. There's some other options. It'd be different if it was one of those years that was super, super light on edge rushers. And it's like, man, it's either him or the drop off is huge. That's not what I see out of this draft. So, Steve, where you at with it?
I'm like 80% with you. The allegations first. Look, did you see what the Philadelphia Eagles GM Howie Roseman came out and said the other day? That if a player has
his kids and
if a player has an allegation like Mike Green has, he's immediately removed from his draft board. Kind of interesting because Jalen Carter killed a person, but he was still drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles. So I found that
allegedly.
Allegedly. We don't want to get sued for the $20 that this podcast makes. So stay out my pockets, Jalen Carter. If you want $20, I'm gonna have to post it in check. Okay, it ain't gonna clear right away. Allegedly, yes. Just a little ironic, but I just wonder how many other NFL GMs have that same mindset where if a player has any type of allegations like Mike Green has, that they just remove him off the draft board. I would imagine Brad Holmes is probably one of those because he's just, if there's question marks, hey, we passed on Jalen Carter. Like he was sitting there for the taking. We could have had Jalen Carter and Hutch, and we probably wouldn't even be talking defensive line in this draft, but not the world we live in. So I'm starting to think maybe Brad Holmes is one of those GMs that if you have any type of off the field issues that might arise, I'm not gonna take you. And I think a lot of GMs think that. And where I think the differences with Mike Green is, if I were a GM, I would be passing for that reason, and I wouldn't draft you until I'm comfortable where I can wash my hands of you if I need be. And that's probably like the third round, and I don't think Mike Green's going in the third round. So some team will take a gamble. It'll be a team that can afford to take a gamble. I don't know who that'll be, but I'm not 100% in love with this game either. I kind of was in the beginning, but then I started really diving into some other guys, and I'm like, ooh, kind of like him a little bit more than Mike Green. Ooh, I kind of like this guy a little bit more than that other guy I like above Mike Green. So he's kind of slid down my list. He's still in my top 10, but I'm not going to change the Detroit Lions defensive scheme to draft him. I think what we need is someone who can set the edge on the other side of Hutch. And then in known passing situations, we got a guy that we can throw in there on the other side of Hutch and get after the quarterback. We need someone who can do both. Don't know exactly who that is. Got some guys we like, got some guys we've talked about plenty of times on this show. Mike Green, probably a pass for me, but it really, really is hard for me to ignore the production he had in college, the power that he has, the potential that he has. But if he's available at pick 28, there's probably 2 or 3 other guys that I would personally probably prefer over him. But if a lot of those guys are gone, it's going to be interesting to see where we fall. I'll be interested to see what Brad does. Does he pull the trigger and take Mike Green? Does he say, I'm good. Maybe someone wants to trade up into this round and I move back into the mid-30s and I'll see you guys tomorrow and I'm going to ruin the day. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting, but I'm not 100% in love with Mike Green either. But I know a lot of people out there are going to be not too kind to my friend Will, who enjoyed maybe his last oatmeal cream pie today, because maybe they're going to kill him tonight. I don't know. We'll have to see, Will. And you still working on that thing? Dang, I think it would have been gone within one bite if it were in my hand. It's unbelievable. Just saving that thing forever. They don't feed you dinner at the Ford household or what?
I didn't want to be smacking into the microphone. Man, otherwise, it would have been gone.
Don't be shy now. I'll mute your mic for you if you need me to.
It's all good, man. Mike Green, though, I want to hear what people got to say, man. You don't have to be nice. Love to hear your opinions. Just back them up with some facts, man, on why you feel the way that you feel. But other than that, man, let's hear it. Same thing with Mr. Watson, or if there's a guy in this draft that you really don't want and you think the Lions should stray away from, go ahead and put that in the chat too. I know there's some other guys. I got a list of guys that could have been on the show. Walter Nolan was a guy in the conversation. JPJ, Pierce Jr., he was a guy that could have been in the conversation. So I know there's other guys out there who have some character issues or some concerns. Luther Burden. Leave it in the chat, man. How you feeling? Who's your guy that the Lions should stray away from?
Also, Will, do you have anything else for tonight before I ask my question?
I don't believe so. I think I'm
good. Right. Hey, show's over. There's just a little fun time now. Do you happen to know the average weight of a sumo wrestler?
I would guess a sumo wrestler. I would guess probably 285 pounds would be my guess.
350 pounds, which means Desmond Watson would be the heavyweight champion of the world if he became a sumo wrestler. Will, stick around, hit that like button. We'll be back later with another show.
Peace.